You didn't get a call on that, did you, Kramer?
It popped up on, not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
I jumped in my car right after you messaged me.
okay,
I didn't hear anything.
good.
I don't wanna know.
No, you do
I
not
don't
want
wanna
to
know.
know.
Don't look at me.
Joe's gonna be about 5 minutes late, he said.
Yeah, that's what Helen said.
It says it's recording, Paul.
Well, I had to hit one other permission that I popped up.
You want to wait or, right, it's not 5:15.
Yeah, Joe Barlow said he's gonna be about 5 minutes late.
Okay, we'll wait for Joe a little bit.
And I'm stepping out 5 minutes before 6.
How much?
5 minutes before 6, I'm stepping out.
We'll get through this because I got to be somewhere else a little after 6, so
Where are you going? Parent teacher conference?
I already had that.
Oh, you did? Monday?
No, I had it today,
Oh.
4 o'clock.
I missed you then.
I got snuck right out of there.
I got in there at 4.
We know that Jamie's not going to be here thanks to Helen texting him.
Told you.
He called me. I apologize. I said, you don't have to apologize to me.
Yeah, we haven't been there this year, but it transferred. Senior center.
Okay, good. That'll make his day, right? Felt left out. Now we'll just wait. We got a minute and then we'll go. That'll make you happier.
Yeah.
Who's everybody else get stuff? I don't. All right. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. All right, with roll call, everybody is, Joe and Jamie are absent, but Joe will be here in just a couple minutes. Before you is the minutes from the previous meeting on September 16th. I think everybody's probably had a chance to review those. And I will make a motion to accept those.
I'll second.
All right,
Second was
Angelica. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. All right. And
Claims this meeting before you, we have the docket claims, which are approximately $287,718.25. Non-docket claims are approximately $157,021.89.
Okay. I will make a motion to accept the docket and the non-docket claims.
Second.
Second from Helen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. We'll take care of all that after the meeting then.
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to you. Oh, you got that
Read
for me.
that one
I'll
first.
get this one taken care of.
And this,
Yes.
yeah, we'll go ahead and go ahead and sign it. One of the items on your agenda, item number 5, is the City of Huntingburg's 2025 annual TIF spending plan. As a part of that, we had money set aside for public safety, and there was money in it that, a portion of it was in street, and then it was transferred over to the senior center. It appears that the senior center project is going to come in well under the amount of money that we have allocated to it, and there's a request that the mayor can answer questions about if you have any, to reallocate in an amount not to exceed $190,000. We think it's going to be around 185, and reallocate it from the senior center to the Parks Department. And I alluded to that last month regarding it. Essentially, as I understand, Mayor, it'll be utilized for the playground.
Yeah, we want to do,
get rid of a lot of the small playground equipment that's at the main park on the south side that's old. Needs to be, that's not safe, you can't buy parts for it anymore. And then what we'll do is we're gonna build one large area. We're actually gonna use artificial turf with, rubberized, area underneath, so it'll be handicap accessible. But we can also mimic a baseball field or something like that. We're even looking at, the poles of the playground equipment, baseball bats, and a lot of fun stuff for kids. So we need sections in there for all age groups. So younger kids and the older kids can play on the same playground. The parents can be there in the middle and watch it. We'll have an area where they can sit and watch all their kids. And it'll be, some of the playground equipment will be existing that will reuse there. So we're looking at, actually, if we buy enough equipment, we can get a 100% match on what we spend. So it'll double our money. This will allow us, we spend over $100,000 on the equipment itself. We can get 200,000 for us.
Nice.
That's good.
So on. So this will be a big ask. It'll allow us to beautify that park. And we built 2 parks since anything has been done to those playgrounds. And it's, I'm under the belief you take care of what you have before you build new, but we built new before we took care of what was there. So we're probably about 10 years behind.
Yeah, the old dinosaur needs to be replaced down there.
Money's going away.
The reason it's in an amount not to exceed that $190,000 is the senior center project is coming to its end. There'll still be some pay apps that will need to come in. And like I said, we believe it's going to be about $185,000 to $190,000 that's left over. So we want to reallocate that now so that they're ready to go.
So that'll take care, that's 185,000 or not 190 that's left will be after taking care of all the IT and those things. Those need to be signed as well.
We have about $3,300 in IT stuff we did. We have some other phones systems that'll come in.
Okay.
We spent change orders total on $1,000,001 project, $1,700.
That's good.
And that was for a drain that we had to move in the basement in order to put new footers in for the support poles there. Normally with a project like that, you figure about a 10 to 15% contingency. We had a 15, about 0.1%. So it was very well planned. We had great contractors.
Good to hear.
We didn't bid the IT items because we didn't want the upcharge to the contractors. Plus, it's a Davis Bacon program. And if we worked it outside of the funding to do those things at the end, we didn't have to deal with Davis Bacon on the IT. Except our portion or something. We think we're done there. And that's, we have right now about 190,000 left. But we may buy a refrigerator or something like that.
Okay.
Need a motion?
You can make it.
I'll make a motion to reallocate not to exceed 190,000 from senior center to parks department.
Excellent. We got a motion
I'll say.
and Joe's the second. Any questions? Should have done that for after that. Sorry when I did that. If not, I will, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right.
And since we just did that with the City of Huntingburg's 2025 annual TIF spending plan, the next item on the agenda is the City of Huntingburg's 2026 TIF spending plan. Just as a reminder, this year is the first year we've actually worked and lived under the new TIF spending plan process. And essentially, you have to indicate where you're going to be spending and utilizing TIF funds in order to have it as an eligible expense. If you look at the proposed spending for the 2026 plan, I got estimates from the police department in the public safety category of approximately $125,000 in equipment for them. Fire department, it's about $48,500. And then the street department, who was in the 2025 plan, but got at a subsequent amendment, that money got reallocated. They're in at approximately $100,000. That's in addition to obligated payments through TIF bonds for FARBEST, OFS, and things like that. And the administrative cost of administering the TIF programs, which the clerk treasurer's office will include that in there. I do have the police chief Kramer's here. If you have any questions about what they're going to be utilizing their funds for.
Yeah, if you want to tell us, that'd be great. I mean, it's be good to know. just for us.
Yeah, so one of the major things that I'm working on right now, negotiations with our body worn contract. We're sitting at a contract price of $257,000 right now, which is 20,000 less than what Jasper
Mhm.
signed for, and they've got 10 more people than we do. To me, it's not fair to us or our community to just pay 20,000 less than what a city that's 3 times the size of us is paying. And not including all the equipment that it includes. Cause one body worn camera setup is about 15,000 for a vehicle. And they've got 10 more vehicles than us, so how does that equate? I don't know. That's why I'm negotiating that. But so there's that. I don't remember what's all on that list. The vehicle.
Yeah.
Cause it was dependent upon the actual budget. What else was on there?
Those are the two big items.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's something else.
Couple of radios.
No,
I think we're done on those, aren't we?
yeah. There's something else on there too. I forget now. It's been a month since.
Yeah, those big items there for sure.
Yeah, those are the two big ones though, but.
And you happen to be the one here, so we're picking on you.
That's fine.
One thing I do remember that everything was on there were items of replacing aging equipment.
Yeah.
that you presently
Yeah, when you
have.
got stuff that's, it's at its end of life, and you don't
Yeah.
really have a choice in it. It's,
Yeah.
Nothing new and exciting, it's the same old thing that's itchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see
I
that.
think computers. I think laptops or something like that was on there.
and
Makes
the fire
sense.
department, I know one of the big chunks of theirs, believe it or not, is a specific type of washer. Currently, when they have their turnout gear and stuff like that, they take it to Jasper and they have to have it done over there and brought back using their equipment. It's not very efficient. What they're looking at is getting a system that will allow them to do that here and avoid having to ferry it back and forth.
Makes sense.
They work with a lot of toxic material to get absorbed into their thing, you can't put it where you're.
Right.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's a heavy duty washer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get some click.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the 2026 TIF spending plan for public safety.
I'll second.
So I need you to amend that if you would.
Yes.
That it's the entire number one, including the public safety category.
Oh, okay.
2026 TIF spending plan.
Okay. I will amend that to the, to include the public safety, but as well as the whole 2026 TIF spending plan.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Your next item on your agenda, as you know, several years ago, the state of Indiana began to require a annual TIF report and presentation to cities and towns, overlapping taxing districts, so that have the authority to levy, to issue a levy within a taxing area. The city has been utilizing very successfully Crow to do that report, and I've got Angie, and I'm sorry, what's your first name?
Kate.
Kate, are here to, each of you's got a copy of the plan, but they're here to give the presentation to you and address any questions you might have.
Okay. Yeah, Angie, you've been with us before, haven't you?
I have, probably about a year ago
Yeah, I was
today.
gonna say, yeah.
So it's nice seeing you all again. As Paul mentioned, this is an annual requirement, so you are required by statute to present this presentation at a public meeting. So it's kind of flipping through. You'll see it looks very similar to what we've done in the past. So really just providing an update and giving you all are the same folks I had the opportunity to present to last year. It'll look very similar. So really just kind of talk about what we've seen change. And then maybe just spend the end kind of talking about some of the recent legislative changes that may impact the redevelopment commission and the TIF. So I think that's probably the most important item to address today, really, other than what we're seeing here on just general changes and values. So I'm just going to kind of flip through a few pages here. Really starting, and the page numbers are so tiny, but really starting with page number 6, they're like minuscule pages where it lists all your debt outstanding. Again, this is all of your allocation areas, so nothing new here. I would want to point out though, on looking at that slide, your Industrial Park West, you will see a large portion of that will roll off next year. So this really coming on is going to be the first year where you're going to start seeing some of those allocation areas actually expire. At that point, the assessed valuation for that TIF will roll back to all the overlapping taxing units. Potential impacts on that happening as AVs go up, tax rates go down. So that influx of new AV could have a potential for lower tax rates. Positive for taxpayers. Something for us to really pay attention to on the TIF, because that does impact the tax rates that the other TIFs then and the AV is generated against. So that's something really we'll want to watch in the coming year and seeing what that impact is. No other updates on here. Majority of these TIFs are real property. However, you'll see at the very last column, the designated taxpayers of OFS and Far Best. That allows those TIF areas to collect TIF on personal property. So no changes there. Flipping to the next slide. Here is really just to be able to see the growth of what the base assessed valuation and incremental AV is. And nothing too significant. You'll see majority of those yellow and blue bars look very steady year over year. The TIFs have been steady, been healthy, really maintained that incremental AV, which is what the TIF revenues are generated from. So nothing really to point out on the 3 that you see there, except noting that Industrial Park West is a significant TIF. And there that will have the expiration coming up. So just noting that. Flipping to the next slide. Those are your remaining 4 allocation areas. Only thing I think on this I would point out is really the column to your right, West Skyline. You'll see the 24 and 25 were really the first year where we've started seeing incremental AV being generated in those TIF areas. It was a very small portion in 21 through 23. So small, it doesn't really make the graph. But now you're seeing those investments coming in, and that's been new revenues that are being generated and collected. But other than that, nothing, no variances really to point out. Going to the next slide. This really allows you just to see from a graphical standpoint which TIFs are generating actual revenues, so actual tax dollars and TIF revenues coming in. Northwest Industrial being the primary driver of those revenues. Total is about $1.5 million compared to about $1.4 million last year. So about $100,000 more this year in collections than RDC saw in the prior year. Flipping to the next pages. These again are nothing new. This is just all of your outstanding debt updated for the outstanding amounts. Just incorporates the payments that have rolled off in the prior year. So nothing new really to outline here. Same information, kind of lets you see what they funded, when they mature, how much is outstanding, and how they're paid. I would flip then again to the next page, the remaining of the debt until we get to the estimated 2026 budgets. That is slide 13. And this is where we need to start providing what are we going to be spending those revenues on from a TIF basis. So what you see here is we've actually calculated estimated TIF revenues for 2026. And that's based on the 2026 assessed value that was we got from the auditor's office and worked through the TIF neutralization process, but multiplied by the 25 tax rates. So there is an estimate there. It's a variance. We expect to see changes in the tax rate, except we're just not going to know what those are at this point in time. Nothing really to point out on any of these as well. Only thing I would know is on the Northwest Industrial Park West, that first column, you'll see those are combined. We show both revenues, and that's because the two of those revenues together go to support the city's 2015 bonds. 2015 bonds are the only bonds that were issued in the open market, meaning they're investors who are counting on those payments, as opposed to your company purchase bonds with FARBEST and OFS. So those are the ones with actual liability risk to the city as opposed to the others. So flipping to the next page, same thing. Those are just your smaller TIFs, support some of the company bonds. So nothing really of new or anything to note there. East Skyline is the only allocation area that does not have an obligation pledged. So that is a source of revenue that is really free and clear to the RDC for some of those spending items that you would need. So just pointing that out. As part of the presentation, you're required to also include long-term plans in addition to your annual spending plan. So this really just highlights some of the items that Paul had mentioned for public safety, various infrastructure improvements that may be then for the parks around the city, and then your annual obligations that you already pay. And most of the details in your spending plan itself as opposed to this. The pie chart you see really just shows you the makeup of all your taxing units. So it lets you see of the tax rate that is levied on taxpayers, where that rate's coming from and where the tax dollars are going to. So the largest really being the school corporation. That's consistent across, most municipalities with schools, and then the city coming in the second. With that on the school though, and on that second page, the flip to the next page, you'll see that even though that tax rate is larger from a school corporation perspective, a portion of that tax rate is their post-09 referendum rate. So that was approved by voter referendum. Those tax dollars do not flow to the RDC. So the TIF, the money from that actually still goes to the school. So they're able to still continue to achieve every dollar they would need to from the public referendum as opposed to going to TIF. And I always think that's important to point out. Moving to the next page is really just our summation, kind of here's where we are. 80 million incremental AV in total for page 25 compared to about 74.9 in 2024. So continued growth, though relatively steady. And then $17 million of base value continues then to be shared by all the taxing units. Recent investments that were important to highlight really was around just one this year. We wanted to highlight the OFS Plant 18 expansion. So there are just a few pictures that Paul was so graciously able to take for us that we can include in the presentation just to give a visual of how they're utilizing the benefit of that incentive that you all awarded.
Andrew, one thing to note on that project, you're looking at there's a piece of equipment that went into Plant 18 2 years ago or 3 years ago that was a part of a TIF project.
Correct.
For OFS. That piece of equipment is what is leveraging the real property improvements you're seeing in the pictures. Those two new buildings you're going to be putting in there are a direct result of that first TIF project.
Appendix A really just background information, just about the base information of TIF, which I know you all have a very good handle of what it is, how it's collected, and what it can be used for. So really that first slide is really just, emphasizing again what the uses of the dollars can be. I think you all are doing exactly what you need to be doing from that perspective. And the other information are just some basic concepts of the allocation area and how it works. So I can flip through those. There's nothing new there. And I know you all have seen this many times. So I will move on to Appendix B, which looks like to be on slide 29. And really kind of gets into legislative updates. So I'm sure this has probably also been a topic of discussion that you all have had. I know I'm sure the mayor and Paul have had, but there was a significant tax reform in this last legislation that does have the potential of impacting not only just taxpayers, tax bills, city, but also then redevelopment commissions and TIF. One of the big items were the introduction and change of various deductions. RDC doesn't have any residential TIF. You don't capture property taxes on your home, so that isn't a concern right now. There are deductions now on the 2%, which are apartments. So this is the first time ever where apartments also now are getting deductions. So if there are apartments within your normal commercial TIF that you would be able to collect TIF revenues on, that is a potential for reduced TIF revenues because of the overall reduction in their liability. That type of deduction on apartments is phased in over time, like the standard homestead and supplemental for residents, at a slower pace. So this last year, it's 6%, goes to 12%, 19, and then by 2031, the deduction for apartments is up to 33.4%. So you are going to see a large deduction from that type of property. I think the intent overall was to really shift the burden between the three classes of property. I think that's what the General Assembly had in mind when they made those changes, really trying to level the playing field of where the taxes are coming from between residents, commercial, like the $3, the large company businesses, and the apartments. So you're seeing all those deductions start coming into play. And the apartments will impact TIF areas because that is a source of revenue that TIFs do generate from. All that really begins in pay 26 for pay 27. So again, just something to watch as we're seeing what those deductions are. Another, I would say, result of those deductions is just reduced liability. So as a taxpayer, I'm still limited to my circuit breaker. I'm not going to pay more than 1% of my gross assessed value. However, my net assessed value is going to drop considerably because of all those deductions. So I may not actually hit the circuit breaker anymore, but I'm actually going to be paying a lower tax liability, which also has the same impact of lower tax dollars coming into the city. So it's going to be very interesting to see. One of the additional items you see in the presentation that the DLGF recognizes, as I mentioned, there's an inverse relationship between assessed value and tax rates. So as assessed value is going down, because we have all these new deductions, tax rates go up, which would then push the tax rate up. DLGF wants to make sure that increased tax rate doesn't result in any type of windfall to the TIF area themselves in the form of TIF revenues. They want to make sure that's neutralized and that increase of value, if there is some, is then still really captured at the base unit level. That's going to be a new form. On the TIF neutralization form, it's going to be another field that they're going to have to do. They're going to have to be mindful of debt because a lot of the TIFs, including the cities, as well as many other communities, use TIF to pay debt. So it's going to be a very interesting year to see how those forms are actually amended to protect and make sure that enough TIF revenue is being generated to pay all the obligations. So that's, again, something we're all continuing to look at. Another piece, because of the reallocation of the burden and really shifting more to the commercial, the $3, state also wanted to recognize that. So they also added in a new personal property piece. So this also then could impact the city and the RDC with the personal property TIFs that exist. I don't think it'll have a huge impact because right now it's exempting the first 2 million of personal property. However, your personal property TIFs and the investment from FarBest and OFS greatly exceeds that value. Before it was 80,000, it's up to 2. It's really looking for new property coming in. It also removes a 30% floor. So that's another liability if you're not in a TIF. So the existing TIFs with FarBest and OFS with personal property, those will still be protected. It will be interesting to see how the state monitors the before and the after the 30% floor when there's one return, but that's neither here nor there. And we will see how that plays out. But those are all things that I think are really important for the RDC, for the city, as the next couple of years roll out. We'll be looking at that. Again, even we didn't talk about it, income tax is another large change this year, with the city now being able to levy its own income tax, the county being able to levy its own income tax. But those right now have to be adopted every year once that goes into effect. So that's another point of contention. That's been really interesting. We'll see if that gets changed the next legislative session. Standard & Poor's rating agency actually released a report this last week on Indiana's new local income tax and the unknowns that are there. They didn't do a mass downgrade of everyone in the state, thank goodness, but they are watching it to see what happens. They're hoping there's enough time to make edits before they can see what those are. But that are the things that we're all kind of looking at to seeing what that is. Your 2015 bonds do have the lit support. So that is additional security for those for the open market. So it'll be interesting for us to continue to watch and see how the market responds to what's going on at the state level as well.
Do you anticipate the short session having a flurry of corrective amendments or anything to it, or they're just gonna give it
This is
another
crystal
sit?
ball. I would, given what's from all the chatter that's going on, I would say with the redistricting going to be at the forefront, most likely, in just the conversation that I've seen on that matter alone, I would highly doubt they'd be able to get a lot else in, especially on something so robust and detailed that's going to take. I don't think that's enough time. There is another study commission that will start again in the summer. I would see this maybe happening the next one, which the next one is going to be a budget season. So, but who knows? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen out of Indy, but right now I would say if they do the special session, my guess is redistricting is going to take up a lot of that time, as opposed to a major of this kind of correction. I know that's a lot. I know we skipped over some things that you all know well about, but if there's any questions on anything else that you're hearing and that I can help with, happy to answer any questions.
Sure, we're somewhat protected on the personal property. Yeah.
Yep.
That we have now. Most of our high value personal properties within that dip that's guarded, that's been a good thing. Some of our rental properties that are coming out, they have a 5-year abatement, their 5-year abatement. The new floor and the new depreciation schedule will follow right on the heels of that 5-year as that transitions. So we'll have some impact there, but with the expiration of the West, I think you're gonna see a reduction really in rates. For the city number. It takes very little to impact those tax rates.
Right, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The expiration of the 110.
When you take this home with you tonight, between now and next Tuesday morning, if you come up with any questions or have any that you'd like me to pose to Angie, email me with those, because I will see Angie at a conference in all likelihood.
You will be. I'll be working the booth.
So I'll have an opportunity to discuss TIF with her then, if you have any
Yep.
questions.
Good to know.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Your next meeting would be scheduled for your regular day, which is a Tuesday, in November the 18th at 5:15 here.
Awesome.
You will start seeing, from the 2025 TIF spending plan, some of the radio equipment and the pads and that, you're gonna start seeing those claims trickle into your basket, beginning with the May meeting or the November meeting. So it's moved, some of the lead times on the stuff he ordered, which he was told one thing, have been much shorter than anticipated. So that's not a bad thing.
You want me to update?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you would like, to give us an update. I know you and I talked.
Yeah, I know I talked to Nick and Joe whenever I seen them out and about, but so the initial requested amount was not to exceed 155,000. The initial price total was 167,000 and some change. We got a new rep through Motorola. She was able to reevaluate our quote, in between us ordering, or in between the last meeting and then us ordering. Well, she found that the state QPA was not on there. So when she added the state QPA on there, it dropped it to $128,000 total. With that, with the previously approved amount, looking at the needs of our department and looking into the future, hopefully, we can get at least another officer in the next few years. So I went ahead and added 2 additional radios to that, which brought it up to $155,030. That's not including the $10,000 donation that we received and the $2,500 grant. And I'm still waiting on 2 of the grants that I applied for. If we get those in full funding, we'll be sitting at $91,462.62. So we're crossing our fingers that we get fully funded on those 2 grants.
Were you able to talk to the other one that I passed
No,
on to? Okay.
because whenever I ordered them on what day was that, Friday? The radios, these radios, 16 of these radios came in 5 days, including the weekend, which is
That's crazy.
absolutely unheard of. And then the other 3 radios that go in our vehicles, those came in 2 days later. So the amount of time to get more funding in between then and then was non-existent at that point. So, but yeah. So hopefully we'll get those other 2 grants, and we should be finding out this month. I know for the one, and I'm pretty sure the Norfolk one is also this month as well. And then just to update you guys a little bit more on the 800 repeater system that you guys approved to purchase for us. I turned in a claim to Paul today, that I just got yesterday. Everything is in. The repeater is programmed. All we are waiting on is the installation of it. And the timeline for that is hopefully by the end of October. We could have utilized it in the last 2-3 days already. However, it wasn't in place to be able to utilize, so we couldn't. But yeah, these radios will run off of it. They're already programmed for that repeater system. Once we have time, we'll get our in-car radios programmed for them as well. But yeah, so.
It's great.
And you'll see that claim at your November.
Yeah,
Some of the other claims I've got preliminarily, but we're kind of holding off to see what the status is on a couple of other things. So
yeah.
it may be November that you see those, or you may see them in December.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it'll just be dependent upon when they release the funding on those grants.
Makes sense.
Once they make the awards. So yeah, any questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Any other public input? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go. It was easy.
Time is.
Just in time.
Worked out better than we thought it was going to. I'll wait a second.
Stop by.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
I'll
no
see you next
problem.
month, Paul.
All
think,
right. Customers think they.
That one was